viewers and subscribers, welcome to another episode of In a Week. I'm your host Sohain. Today we will do a book review on this book called Etiquette Guide to Korea by Boyé Lafayette De Mente. So now let's get into the book review. Boyé Lafayette De Mente was an internationally known author of pioneer books on the business practices, cultures, and languages of China, Japan, Korea, and Mexico. He joined the U.S. Army from 1948 to 1952 and was sent to Tokyo to work as a decoding technician. When the Korean War broke out in 1950, President Harry Truman added a year to 18 months to every enlistment, resulting in De Mente staying an additional year and a half in Tokyo. During his third year at ASA Tokyo, De Mente took advantage of his off-duty time to found a newspaper called the ASA Star. Eventually, the very popular weekly propelled him into a full-time editorship. De Mente said that keywords in languages are both the reservoir and vehicles of culture and function as cultural codes. He added that keywords in the languages explain the attitudes, values, and behavior of the people down to the most subtle nuances, and that he used these words as windows or gateways to explain the cultures of these countries. Today, De Mente's books are especially prized in the business and university communities and continue to enrich worldwide understanding between Asian and Western countries. So why did I choose to read this book? It is all in the subject matter. My love for Asia Pacific and visiting Korea is the true reason behind selecting to read this book. Visiting Korea has been on my list since my teenage years. Before my trip to Korea, I want to learn everything I can about the Korean customs and culture to make the most out of my future trip. This is not the first book from Boyé Lafayette De Mente that I have read. I have also read Etiquette Guide to Japan, which I loved so much that I made a book review about it. If you want to check out that book review, I have shared the link in the description of this video. If you are wondering whether the two books have similarities in terms of the nature of information, then the answer is yes. Let me clarify how. Both books were written by De Mente to educate Western visitors to these countries to prevent committing cultural faux pas. The high tourism has also brought with it a lot of social issues. Cultural ignorance is not an excuse for bad behavior. I have never been to Korea, but I made it my priority to learn as much as possible about Korea prior to my visit. In my understanding, why learn lesson the hard way when one can learn it from a book? De Mente's first-hand experience with foreigners making a faux pas on their visits was a big reason for him to take on such book projects that can be helpful for people seeking guidance in the matter. Just to give you an example from the book without elaborating too much, De Mente first takes the reader on a short history lesson where he not only summarized the evolution of Korean language but also of Korean society. In a short reading, I understood the reason why social hierarchy exists in Korea. There are a total of 75 topics covered in this book. These topics cover anything from the importance of strong family bonds and their significance in Korean society to social and business etiquette. There is also a small section in the end of the book on useful basic Korean phrases. Some of my favorite topics that I enjoyed learning about were Korean home invitations, Korean wedding celebrations, how to visit a Korean spa, and education in Korea. These topics might not sound like what a typical tourist would come across as a situation, but the beauty of this book is that it is not only covering the topics for a one-time visitor, but also for someone who has to move to Korea and have little to no experience about life in Korea. De Mente in this book, Etiquette Guide to Korea, has done a phenomenal job in teaching foreigners about what matters to Koreans in social interactions and also what Koreans themselves value. De Mente mentions in one of the essays in this book that if you demonstrate your knowledge of Korean culture, it will resonate a long way with Koreans. Let's say you demonstrate your knowledge in the Korean way of pouring a glass of drink in a social setting, not only will it be appreciated by Koreans, but it will also be considered as a sign of you being culturally aware and respectful. The established etiquette in any society over the centuries continue to persist, no matter how modern any country becomes. These etiquettes are passed from generation to generation to continue the social trends and harmony that exist in the social system of a society. In Korea, the very purpose of the etiquette is to keep the social harmony. As visitors or new residents in Korea, it is important to understand that our knowledge of local customs and etiquette will result in enriching local experiences, and at the very least, it will prevent us from committing a faux pas or getting into unnecessary trouble. Boyé Lafayette De Mente has done a great service by giving us the important insights to Korean culture, and personally, I find this book full of useful information. If you like the content, please subscribe, like the video, and comment below. Help the channel grow. Thank you for watching in a week.